All right. How's everyone? Well, I'm Andy Saltarelli. It's a privilege to share one of a number of studies that online constructive controversy, some of issues therein. So I want to begin with kind of the big question, talk about what I think this is the genesis. And it's this adapting face-to-face pedagogy. So in our case, pedagogy has been developed over decades, has a strong theoretical base, has a strong research base, meta-analysis results, is adapting those to online settings, phrase, boundary questions about whether the same pedagogy stimulates different psychological processes under face-to-face in computer-mediated conditions or online conditions. We'll unpack that a little bit. But this really is kind of the basis for what we're doing in a number of studies and things. So constructive controversy is a pedagogy based on social independence theory. The way the goals are structured determines how we interact with learners. So, positive independence between learners. We create to promote interaction, which leads to achievement, leads to positive outcomes, positive interpersonal relationships. So, based on social interdependence theory, constructive controversy is a 5-step process where students are assigned either side of a controversial issue, they argue these incompatible views, but they have the cooperative goal of creating an integrated statement at the end of the activity that synthesizes the best arguments from both sides of the task. And so one of the reasons why we think constructive controversy as a pedagogy to dig into is that, as I said, it's been developed over decades. Strong research background and based on social interdependence theory. We know the mechanism is social interdependence that leads to these positive outcomes. And so I'm sure we have some updated numbers, but these are some of the meta-analyses. And you can see constructive controversy versus debate, constructive controversy versus learning, half standard deviation, average effect sizes, which is great. But sort of the crux of the matter for us is that all of this was under the assumption that this interaction was happening face-to-face. That we were knee to knee, eye to eye, in a dyad, working. We could see all the nonverbals with each other. We could deal with ambiguity quickly. All these issues. We see this hold up in online learning context because that assumption of face-to-face learning certainly can't be taken in our educational context anymore. So really, students do this in 70 minutes in the classroom, do the 5 steps of controversy. And as we see, we have a synchronous group who did this. They were in separate classrooms, but they still did the activity over 70 minutes, and they communicated either by video, audio, or text. Or an asynchronous group who did the 5 steps of controversy over 6 days. Previous results. First, no difference between audio, video, and text communication. But we did see that comparing face-to-face and synchronous communication, there was no difference there. But comparing those to asynchronous communication, we had decreases in achievement, motivation, which leads to kind of the main questions for our first. And this leads to the question, what are the mechanisms by which asynchronous communication acts in constructive controversy? Certainly a question for testing theory. And for practice, we selected belongingness, perhaps satisfying belongingness needs prior to doing the activity would reinvigorate some of these negative effects that we saw. Certainly that's much more of a practice-focused question. My day job is spent a lot of time practicing design online learning, so it was important to me too. So we're basing our conceptualization of belongingness on belongingness theory and self-determination theory, need theories. Belongingness is one precondition of self-regulation and motivation. So our current free design. Again, we have face-to-face, synchronous, and asynchronous interaction, but now we have 3 belongingness conditions: rejection, control, and acceptance. So belongingness manipulation we adapted from some work by Romero Canvas, online spaces. Students created a completed a personality profile, course memory and activity, and they were given results from other students' personality profiles, and they could rank whom they would want to work with based on that personality profile. So our system said, I'm going to match you up, and they got back one of three messages. The blindness met or acceptance condition, students were told that they were their partner's first pick. In the activity, in the control condition, they got a message saying you can match it up. In the activity, they were told that you were your partner's last pick based on everyone else getting their matches. You were work together. So very briefly, the synchronous scaffold in this study was documents, and in the synchronous condition, students are doing the 70-minute controversy, but they're in separate classrooms, working together on this co-editable space in Google Documents, where they can chat and work on the essay together, the synthetic essay instead of live. The asynchronous scaffold was a custom system that we created, some open source tools, WordPress, Lightpress, and they completed the activity again over 6 days. You can see they log in, they're either on the yes side or the no side of the constructive controversy, and then each day they can submit their answer and notify the partner that they're ready to keep. A number of dependent variables that I won't have time to get into, but I want to make the point that we're testing 4 different theories in this study. Theories of computer-mediated communication, social interdependence theory, sociocognitive conflict theory, belongingness theory. And to our knowledge, this is the first time that we tested social interdependence theory and social conflict theory have been tested together in one study. The reason being is the way that communication technologies affect certain controversies is probably multiply determined. We're going to need multiple theories to explain what's going on. So you can see our sample, we had 171 students, all undergrads in the Intro to Educational Psychology course. The constructive controversy was germane to what they were talking about that week. So I won't have time to talk about every result. Main effects of belongingness. Ask them how much time they spend, how much time they prefer. Trying to control a little bit for time on task, which certainly can be a confounding factor. But the main effect of belongingness, they spent and preferred more time in activity. Those in the acceptance group had increased cooperative perceptions. And you'll see in the post-hoc results, a number of times where we see no difference between mild rejection and acceptance, suggesting that mild rejection isn't always deleterious of educational outcomes in constructive controversy the way that we operationalize. We'll talk more about that. Acceptance increased epistemic regulation. Now that's epistemic regulation or conflict around the actual points of the argument as opposed to relational conflict, thinking about my competence versus with regard to my co-learner or relational conflict. Increased intrinsic motivation, relatedness, value. Again, we see this weird interaction effect from mild rejection. Under asynchronous conditions, they did better on a multiple choice quiz that they took after. That's something with mild rejection. And this is interesting. We've actually found in a number of our studies of social psychological processes spilling over how students feel about the technology that they're using. The way that they perceive it being useful for their own needs and they go about using the technology. Certainly something that we explore further. And for manifesting synchronicity, it was generally the same thing that we found in the previous study replicating as a result of so face-to-face and synchronous conditions, we see no difference between face-to-face and synchronous, which is an interesting result in and of itself. We see the cooperative perception increase, and epistemic conflict increases, and this led to increased motivation to achieve, which is what social interdependence theory would tell us is the mechanism for what social conflict would tell us cooperation and epistemic or conflict. Under the async condition, again, competitive and individualistic perceptions increase, and relational conflict regulation increase. Again, as those theories would tell us, as long as that we see cooperative perceptions increase, perceptions of technology. You see that it buffers, but it did not offset those decreases that we see in asynchronous. And again, this belongingness distorted not all of the previous educational outcomes. It's not that we would suggest that using belongingness as a pedagogical approach to increasing these measures, but certainly there may be something going on with action worth looking at. Implications from here. Validates both social independence theory and social conflict theory, identifying the mechanism. These may need to be integrated. Now, some of their outcomes are highly correlated. They are explaining a little bit of their own variance in our study. And so that might suggest that those should be integrated in some ways. And then belongingness theory is a precondition for social independence and social conflict. And finally, the practice. Satisfying belongingness needs can promote cooperation, especially in online settings. And now that we've identified the mechanism, searchers may be able to monitor instances of cooperative perceptions, epistemic regulation through formal assessment, and feedback and analytics in an online platform. And finally, we talk about blended learning variance synchronicity match the task demands, maybe a way to leverage the affordances and ameliorate the constraints of face-to-face instruction and online. So that's it. Our system is up and online. If you'd like to check it out, contact Carrie if you'd like to use this system. These kind of emails all the time. Respond to your email. Any good questions? Yeah. Absolutely. Media richness theories would tell us that could be important. But in the previous study, we didn't see those effects. That doesn't mean that we won't come back to it. I think you're right. But since we saw the difference in this study, we went back to text-based interaction between the students. That's a good question. Thank you.